to the channel, everyone, and welcome to a very interesting show tonight. Plenty I want to run through. Some transfer news, some players coming, some players going the other way, of course. And of course, we're going to be talking about Erik Ten Hag, the big talking point at the moment. Will he stay? Will he go? Will he be backed? Or will he be sacked? That is the question on the lips of many Manchester United fans at the minute. And honestly, it's a question on my lips as well, because I think the answer is very unclear. I think it's very unclear as to what's going to happen at this moment in time. I don't think anyone's coming out with definitive statements. I think, you're seeing a flip-flopping in the press. Some people are saying one thing, some people are saying another thing, and I guess it's very hard to do, and it's very hard to look at and review and say, where are we with this saga? Where are we with the Erik Ten Hag managerial future going forward? Now, as you know, a lot of talking about last week, particularly on Friday, the day before the FA Cup final, that Manchester United were set to sack Erik Ten Hag. This came out from Jacob Steinberg of The Guardian. Really, I think where that's come from, I think where that story has originated from, and I guess looking into it, is Kieran McKenna was in talks with Chelsea. He then pulled out of the talks with Chelsea. Chelsea then went to the press and said that they hadn't been rejected by McKenna. He was going to Manchester United, and that meant Erik Ten Hag was going to get sacked. And that's basically where I think those reports came from, looking into the situation. Now, we've talked from different outlets. Manchester Evening News saying good possibility of Ten Hag staying. You have David Ornstein saying big review underway at Manchester United. You've got other outlets saying that Erik Ten Hag's set to be sacked. That's coming in from a lot of different reporters as well. So I think what's interesting is nobody really knows what's happening at this moment in time. And I think that's interesting in a lot of ways, because Manchester United, for better or for worse, mostly for worse, we've been a pretty open book in terms of what's been happening in the club. A lot of the inner workings have been very exposed in the press for the last 10 years or so. The press know exactly what's been going on inside Manchester United. Are we suddenly running a tighter ship, or is it genuine indecision? I'm not too sure, because I do think that looking at the track record of Ineos, there definitely is a tendency, I would say, something of a track pattern. I think Dan Ashworth aside, to get things done very quietly and to make decisions done very quietly. They had no idea that Omar Barada was going to become CEO. They were all telling us it was going to be Jean-Claude Blanc. They had no idea that Jason Wilcox was going to come until he came. They've had very little idea on the inner workings of the football club in the last couple of months. And I think that's a good thing, to be honest. I think that means that some of the people who have been leaking within the club have now been moved on, who have gone, or if we're just running a tighter ship in general. I think that's a much better way to run our football club. And I don't mind this. I think it's infuriating at the minute, and it might be infuriating for a while, where we'll have endless speculation from the press trying to get it right, because if they get it right, then it looks like they really know what they're talking about, and that increases their likelihood of getting better jobs, better employment, better engagement and stuff. You will get a lot of self-centered reasons as to why the press are doing this at the moment. But definitely, I think looking into the situation, from what I can see, it looks like everything's up in the air at the minute. I don't think Erik Ten Hag is necessarily going to get sacked. I don't think he's necessarily going to get a new contract either. I think we're quite unsure at the moment. I think it's coming down to reviewing and wondering, is this the best option for us? Now, look, some of the key players in the market, some of the key managers out there at the moment they're moving about. We're seeing a lot of change at the clubs as well. But you're also seeing, slowly but surely, a lot of cards, a lot of dominoes falling into place. Chelsea have got their manager sorted. You're looking then at a smaller pool of management options then. Kieran McKenna committing his long-term future to Ipswich. Less options out there then. And all of a sudden, you're starting to whittle down the options from maybe 5 or 6 different options to 2 or 3. And depending on what happens with them in the next couple of weeks, because they will want their career sorted. You're looking at your Pochettinos, you're looking at your Tuchels, you're looking at managers of that ilk. They'll want their careers sorted as soon as possible. I think this is a deal that we're going to see done pretty quickly. I think Ineos will have made their mind up already. I think they're probably working on something. I do think it's interesting reading into some of the comments. One thing that does seem to be pretty unanimous, and it does seem to be pretty much agreed upon by every journalist, regardless of their stance on the Ten Hag saga, is this: that Manchester United are definitely talking to other managerial candidates. That is a fact at this point in time. And I think that's something we can point out to be an absolute fact. We are talking to other managers, we're talking to other coaches, and we are looking at potential replacements. Is that the actions of a team, of a football club, that are going to stick with the manager they have, or that they're 100% certain the manager they have in place is the right man? I personally don't think so. So that's why I think Ten Hag will be under a lot of pressure. If indeed a decision has been made, I'm not too sure. Now, look, there will be something of a lull period. This does seem to be a week where everybody seems to be taking a holiday at Manchester United, but ideally we have some kind of decision or some kind of final stance by the end of the week, and I think that's something we need to be keeping an eye out for. Now, look, stories will come and go, reporters will flip-flop backwards and forwards, but it's certainly an interesting one anyway. I've got you're all down below. The longer this takes, the bigger chance Ten Hag will be removed. It also sounds like De Zerbi will be the guy to take over. I'm happy for Ten Hag to stay a while longer. De Zerbi, of course, key option. I would say the three most likely candidates at this time are probably Pochettino, Tuchel, and De Zerbi. That's who I think are probably most likely. And whether or not you've got De Zerbi's contract that he has mutually terminated at Brighton or whatever it was, whether or not that ends on the 1st of June, maybe that's what we're waiting for. I don't know. I think we're going to find out pretty soon. Jeremy's down there. I think he stays. Ineos have a very little risk keeping him, given fans' sentiment, weak manager market, and the cost to remove Ten Hag. It's true. That's also a very valid point, but I think it swings both ways. It does, because they'll never have an easier time to remove Erik Ten Hag than they do right now either. They have to simply point at 8th place in the Premier League, minus goal difference, worst performance in the Champions League by any British club in the history of the competition, out of the Carabao Cup at the first round. And yes, we won the FA Cup, but Europa League wouldn't have been our target going into this summer, and we've took a lot of steps backwards. Now, a lot of that isn't Erik Ten Hag's fault. Some things absolutely will have been his responsibility. Some things are completely out of his control. Everything does factor in, and it's not down to one single person. Like, we had a bad season in our in the league, in the Champions League. But yeah, I think you've got two heads of the same coin there. Two sides of the same coin, really. You've got a weak managerial market. You maybe have a lot of managers who you might want to see be replacements for Ten Hag, who are not available or are unwilling to come at this moment in time. And then you got other managers who will be on the move. You got your De Zerbis, you got your Tuchels, you got the Pochettinos. For a lot of those managers, they probably never come into Manchester United again. Well, to start with, the offer might never come in again, but they probably never come in at a time of less expectation, because I don't think there's a single fan out there that's expecting us to go and do anything massive next season. We're going to be playing Europa League football. If we win Europa League, that could be an absolutely fantastic season next year for us. That could guarantee Champions League football regardless of the league. And, looking at the Europa League with the change in rules, no teams dropping down from Champions League, we got to be right up there as one of the favourites for that tournament next year. There's arguably never been an easier time to step into the Manchester United hot seat. You're coming in, you're going to be the coach, you're going to be responsible for how the team plays. You'll have some say in transfers, but it's mostly going to be delegated, and it's mostly going to be directors and that kind of top-down model that United are going to try implement. And arguably, the expectation has never been less for a Manchester United manager. Like, if we don't finish top 4 next season, I don't think anyone's going to be too surprised based upon what we've seen this season. It'll be a big jump to make up those 12, 13 points on Aston Villa, Liverpool, Arsenal and City, to turn a minus goal difference into a positive one and make a lot of points up. But yeah, I mean, we can definitely go on a cup run next year. We could definitely go far in Europa League. Ideally, you want to go far in either the League Cup or the FA Cup and see what we can do in the Premier League. I do think that it's a time where maybe there is less expectation on a United manager. I don't think there's any fans out there whatsoever who would make the argument that Manchester United will be winning the Premier League next season, that we will be winning every trophy we go for next year. Nobody thinks that. We're smart people. Like, we try to be smart, or we like to think we're smart, maybe. And I think that we're all realistic to know that as well. Anyway, I got a couple of stories I want to run through on the transfer side in a moment. I'm going to hit the comments up. Who have I got down below? Bart is down there. There is no smoke without fire. He is currently walking on thin ice. I think properly back him by getting rid of players and sign players early. Otherwise, don't keep him. Joe, I agree with this. I agree with that, Bart. What I've been saying and what I really think we need to do is either back him the full way with a new contract, keep Erik Ten Hag for 3 years, or the alternative, sack him. I don't think keeping him to Christmas to see how he does helps anybody. You're basically writing a season off. I don't think keeping him for one more season helps anybody either. I think you got to make that change. So if you're going to back Erik Ten Hag, hand him a new contract under the terms you want him to be under, to coach the team, to be the head coach, not to be the manager of the club. And if you don't want Erik Ten Hag, then you have to sack him and you have to bring the person in that you want. That's what I really think. I don't think we need to be stuck on the fence. I don't think we can be caught in limbo land. I think you look at Chelsea. Whilst I think Chelsea are an absolute clusterfuck of a football team, you look at it, they've made their decision on Pochettino. They went early. They said, "Do you know what? We're going to make the change." And they made a mutual agreement for Pochettino to leave. And that's what I think we got to do. I think we got to be strong on this. I think we've got to be decisive, and to me, indecision risks a lot more than making a decision either way. I think we are in a worse position if we go in next year unsure of what to do, unsure if we want Erik Ten Hag, unsure if we want to back him, trying to see what happens until maybe Christmas time, and then deciding to sack him. I think that's a much worse position to be in than either to give him the contract, back him fully, and say, Erik, here's 2 more years. That would take you to 5 years total if you see out the contract, and that could be a full backing of the manager. You've nailed your colours to the mast there. Or you say, Erik, thanks for the 2 years, thanks for the FA Cup, thanks for the League Cup, but we've decided to go our own way. That's what we've got to do. And I think the sooner we make that decision, the better. Ideally, we are not still making that decision right now. Hopefully that has been made several weeks ago, because regardless of what Ten Hag's future is, it should not have been solely based on the FA Cup. If we win the Cup, we shouldn't have kept him if we were going to sack him. And on the other hand, if we were going to keep him, we shouldn't have sacked him just because we lost to Man City, probably the best team in the world right now. So that's kind of the position I find myself in. Let me know what you guys think as well. I'm going to hit some more comments up. I got 21 votes on the poll. Let me know your thoughts down below. Get voting on that poll. Do you think Erik Ten Hag will be the captain the manager next season? And guys, drop a like as well. We're up to 14 likes. Let's see if we can get up to 20 likes on tonight's stream. Now, I have comments from Jarl. Now that we're moving to June, it will cost the club around 5 million to remove Ten Hag, so it will not cost too much. Speaking of Europa League, the ghost of Nice is back. We might not get Europa League after all. I think we'll find a way out around it, but you look at Girona, who are owned by the Man City Football Group, who are literally being sponsored by Etihad in a big new sponsorship in Spain. There's no way we can't get around it. I have every confidence we'll get around it, to be honest. Anyways, Bart's on there. 4 of the 5 4 out of the top 6 have bald managers. Surely United have to go with the flow. Maybe we need to make it even. I don't know. But United's not top 6 at the minute, buddy. We're top 8. Unfortunately. Liman says maybe there is something behind the doors that we don't know, which has forced Ineos to take this step. Possibly. I think they want to run a tighter ship, to be honest with you. I really do. Ronnie says, after the FA Cup final, I now feel the manager needs to stay for one more season, and if he gets his top 4 in the Cup, I will be happy. And Matata says, assume if Radcliffe wasn't the owner and only the Glazers or some Qatar were the owners, and if the Glazers would have created this scenario, how would the fans have reacted? They wouldn't react particularly well, and I think that the longer this goes on, the worse it gets. I'm really going out there with that message of back him or sack him. That's what I'm going for. I don't want indecision. I do not want to be sitting here in a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time asking, will Erik Ten Hag be sacked? Will he be kept? What are we going to do with the managing situation? I want to see swiftness. I want to see decisiveness. And I think indecision in this position is worse than making a decision either way. If you sack Ten Hag, go get a good coach in, got to get a top coach who you really want to back and you think can be the long-term man to lead us forward. If you think it's Erik Ten Hag, then back him publicly. Come out, give him a new contract. That's what I think you got to do. Bart is on there. Learn from Villa. They've already signed Barkley. That's called leadership. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's called decision. It's being decisive, and that's what we need to be in this situation, Bart. Absolutely, I agree with you, man. I really do. We got to be decisive in this. Guys, keep voting on the poll. Let me know your thoughts. Will Erik Ten Hag be the manager next season? Drop a like if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that sub button if you can as well. I'll have a quick look at the results thus far. Do you think Ten Hag will be the manager next season? 50% saying yes, 32% are saying they are not sure, and 18% think he will be sacked and saying no. Bart says, will Ten Hag relinquish some power to the likes of Ashworth to get their foot through the door? See, that's that's what it's coming down to as well. That's really what I think it's going to come down to. And I think that's a really, really good comment from you, Bart, as well. I said this a long time ago. Ineos are not bringing in Ashworth and Barada and Wilcox and Blanc, all these footballing experts, empowering the scouts, empowering the people who have a good understanding of the game at our club. They're not empowering them all to tell them that Erik Ten Hag will have the final say on absolutely everything like he has done for the last 2 years. There is no doubt in my mind that if he does not accept the role that is offered, they will go elsewhere. I have no doubt whatsoever about that, because if he doesn't accept it, then I think they will sack him for that exact reason. They've not brought all these people in to make all these calls to run our football club in the right way, in the way we fans have been asking for a very long time, in order just to tell him, no, you have to do exactly what Erik Ten Hag says. So I do agree with that. I really agree with that there, and I think that would force Ineos' hand in that scenario. That for me could be the deal breaker, and a lot of sources have said that as well. Some of the better sources who've looked and dug really deep into the situation have come to the same conclusion. Ronnie's down there, we need to get rid of the Deadwood. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Deadwood, let me go through some of the players leaving the club at the moment. Casemiro will receive offers in the near future, having caught the attention of 3 teams in Saudi Arabia, those being Al Nasser, Al Ahly, and Al Qasadiya. I probably really pronounced that badly. It would not only be possible to match Casemiro's current salary in Manchester, but even put an even more lucrative proposal on the contract. Casemiro and United's directors will hold a meeting in the very near future to define the future of the midfielder. The expectation is that it will still be the end of the deal between the club and the player, symbolising one of Radcliffe's first decisions with his head of the institution's footballing, with the moving on of Casemiro. I can't complain too much. I just think Casemiro this season just hasn't looked good enough, and I just don't think we should be paying that caliber of money for a player who is obviously declining. Speaking of players potentially going, Daily Mail leading with this story tonight as well. Borussia Dortmund very interested in Mason Greenwood and will make a final decision on the 22-year-old after the Champions League final on Saturday against Real Madrid. So potentially Greenwood being sold there. I think that's an important sale. According to Romano, according to Ornstein, Laurie Whitwell, the Greenwood is really a player United want to sell, because they're looking at around £30 million in terms of a sale there. That's all profit. That can all go towards the transfer budget. That's how FFP works. Big ups to Jordy. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks very much for hopping on in here. Good to see you. Rich Fay says United not to make an imminent decision on Ten Hag as they continue to conduct their end of season review. I think they got to do it. I really hope that story is not true. Either way, because I think indecision is just not good, because we can't go turning around in 2 or 3 weeks time and sack Erik Ten Hag. The longer this goes on, the longer the questions of doubt comes in. Then you're going to be trying to do transfer deals where players, agents and players will want to know who's going to be the manager next season. What sort of a show, what sort of professional football club do we look like if we tell them we don't know who's going to be the manager in the middle of June? That's not a good look for us. We've got to be quick on this, and we've only got around 2 weeks until that point as well. Let me see. Irfan is saying, I need to go first in the transfer market. I need Kevin Danso and Tadebo and Ederson. I wouldn't mind a bit of Ederson. I like Tadebo as well. Bart said Villa have been early bird in the last 3 summers. No wonder they're going place. Their squad is worth €230 million, and now they're in the Champions League. Can you do a video in which you list players you want gone this summer, and the ones that you would list the likelihood of certain players should be signed? Yes, absolutely. That is part of my transfer plans for the week. I might even record it tomorrow. I might record that tomorrow. Look, guys, keep voting on the poll. Let me know your thoughts. Will Ten Hag be our manager next season? It's not, do you think he should be? It's, what do you think's going to happen? If you look at it right now, do you think we're going to sack Erik Ten Hag, or are we going to keep him? Let me know down below on the poll, guys. Hit that sub button as well. So Fresh might help Sancho blend back in if Ten Hag were to leave. It's interesting what's going to happen there, because if Ten Hag stays, I think Sancho's definitely sold. I think we should probably sell him regardless of what happens to Erik Ten Hag. I think that's a sale we should be targeting in this upcoming window, and ideally we get it done pretty early. I would like to see sales done, as much business as we can get done before the European Championships. European Championships, Euro 2024 and Copa America, that's going to be very disruptive for our overall transfer window. So the championship starts pretty soon. big up to Rajat as well. Yeah, the first match is 14th of June. I wouldn't mind seeing some deals done before that point. We were getting very close to the opening of the window as well. Jordy said Ten Hag might be sacked soon. The owners are a mess. I think it's an element of indecision that I didn't want to see. And I would like to think that we've got it done, or we will get it done pretty soon. Who have I got as well? Dark Crow is down there. Good to see you, buddy. New comment coming in from Abera Balahu. Apologies for that. The best choice is Ten Hag. Continue. Otherwise, someone in there so that everyone should be alert, because the owners are only worried if they own the business and not the brand. I mean, there'll be elements of that. There will be elements of that, maybe, but I'm not too bothered. Like, I really think we need to make these footballing decisions first. We've got to get everything done quickly, and the sooner the better. Rajat's looking Radcliffe out. Yeah, I mean, look, I think some of the stories we're seeing out here at the minute is absolutely ridiculous, and you will see it from other fan channels, and they will just be blaming Ineos, not just because they were told to support the other side of the debate, of the divide, but let them do what they want. I'm not too bothered either way. Anyway, I got 34 votes on today's poll. 59% say yes, 29% say unsure, and 12% say no to Ten Hag being the manager next season. That's not what you want to happen necessarily. That's just what you think will happen. You know, that's just reading into it and reading between the lines. And yeah, I mean, it'll be an interesting one anyway. It certainly will. I guess if we're looking at the overall transfers, though, it does look like we're focusing on our outgoings at this moment in time, but we're definitely going to start getting close to signing some players pretty soon. I think we will be dealing with them, and we'll know what areas we want to be strengthening in the upcoming window, definitely, by this point. Let me just quickly double check something. Manchester United today have emailed staff en masse. They say they have 1 week to decide if they want to voluntarily resign from their positions at the club in the latest attempt to cut costs and force staff. I'm not too sure what this is about. This is a bold move anyway. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that there. That's coming from Adam Crafton of The Athletic. Dark Row, we are tolerating Bart. He's laughing at the club. He also isn't super chatting. I mean, you don't have to send super chats. Don't worry about that. And yeah, I mean, some of it's funny. Like, so fresh. Not sure if too many managers would have done a better job than Ten Hag did in the last year. It's an interesting one, that anyway. You know, it is. It is. Anyways, who is this guy? I've never seen this source in my life. I'm not even going to read that out because it's about De Zerbi, but I'm not too bothered about that. Anyway, look, a more interesting story perhaps than this, coming in from James Tucker of The Telegraph. It says Sir Jim Radcliffe and Ineos will have until Monday to satisfy UEFA that Manchester United and Nice will be allowed to compete in the Europa League next season. Ineos are confident a solution will be reached by Monday's deadline. It's likely to require some changes at Nice, but I'm sure we'll get that done. You know, you've got two Red Bull clubs playing in the Champions League. You know, you've got Man City and Girona in the Champions League. It's never been an issue. I have absolutely no worry whatsoever that we'll get that sorted if it hasn't been sorted already. Probably a non-issue, to be honest. Dark Crow said, no club in the Champions League will drop to Europe, but no, exactly. That's why I think we've got a really good opportunity to win that tournament. You know, I really do, all things considered, looking into it, looking at the teams in there. I mean, some of the big threats, you're looking maybe Athletic Club Bilbao, you look at Roma, Tottenham, maybe, but you know, the standard Europa League's not particularly good next season. No teams dropping down. We should be winning that tournament, and that could be a really good way for us to get into the Champions League if needs be. Dark Crow, Raja, what are we talking about? Rajat's money is a bit weird, but I don't know. There's big ups on the likes as well. Could say that we're up to 21. Let's even get up to 25 as well by some point in tonight's stream. Now, I do want to get talking about this Greenwood story. This is coming out from Mark Ogden, who's been writing, I think, for ESPN. Borussia Dortmund will consider a move for Greenwood and will make a decision after the Champions League final against Real Madrid. Now, I think Greenwood's definitely a player that United's going to sell. I think the sale is almost guaranteed to happen at this point in time, and I think United will make that decision pretty early. I think Greenwood will get a good move, and I think he will end up at a Dortmund or maybe a Juventus or Barcelona type. That's not bad for him, but we'll find out what happens in the coming weeks. But he's an important seal for our transfer budget. I'm positive of that there much. Anyways, I guess to go back to the main topic of conversation tonight, guys, we'll get talking about Erik Ten Hag again. I would like to know what you guys think. Keep voting on tonight's poll. At the moment, 38 votes and 55% are saying yeah, he'll be here next season. 32% are unsure and 13% say no, he will not be here next season. It's an interesting one. I don't know what's going to happen with Erik Ten Hag at this moment in time. I think on Friday we were all pretty convinced that he was going to get sacked. I think that was pretty unanimous. I still don't think that the FA Cup will have overly changed the minds of Ineos and for a lot of the footballing decision makers at our club. I think if they were going to change the manager, they probably have already made that call. So it's questionable about what's happening behind the scenes. Maybe the more focus is on ensuring Europa League football at the minute, but I wouldn't mind getting this done because the longer it goes on, the worse it gets. For me anyway. So fresh, when are City going to be getting the consequences of FFP breaches? I don't know, but I have a sneaky suspicion that all this talk about Pep Guardiola leaving at the end of next season could be whenever those charges might kick in. We'll find out about that. Irfan said the Glazers the big boss man, 65% Glazers, 25% Ratcliffe. I think it's definitely less now as well. I think it's something like 37% Glazers, 27% Ratcliffe or something like that. I'm not too sure what the current breakdown of the shares is. Rajad has been talking as well down there. Matata, what are the odds for City to get relegated? Are 30-3 while Arsenal 2,000? What's the take? I think it's just bookmakers trying to cover themselves, to be honest, buddy. It's the same for Leicester City because they're going to get hit with a point deduction at some point. Anyway, some interesting little stories I wanted to go through from the Muppeteers as well. I think it's an interesting one because they've been really reliable on so much stuff in the last couple of years. So James Rhodes of Muppeteers says, I've said all there is to say and you're all up to date with me. United have been interviewing candidates and assessing their options. You can decide for yourself if that is the behaviour of a club that is sticking with its manager. Beyond that, not a thing. If any of us change their mind and assessment based on Twitter polls, then we've got Glazers 2.0 for new owners. And beyond that, there's nothing new at this moment in time. I mean, I don't think we're going to be making minds based up on United Stand polls or Manchester Evening News polls. I would like to think our call's going to be pretty nailed on by this point in time. But let me know your thoughts, guys. Get some more thoughts down below as well. How about we go through some transfer targets as well? There was a couple of interesting stories came out last night as well. Firstly, we got Toshin Adarabioyo, heavily linked to United, Newcastle, and now Chelsea are also coming in for the player on a free. Lots of speculation around there. A pretty good player. I think he'd be a smart signing for us on a free. I think that lets us spend more money in other positions, and I think that will be important as well. According to Melissa Reddy, people close to Erik Ten Hag have been annoyed by a lack of communication from Manchester United over his future. I'm not surprised. I think we just got to get this done quickly. Either way, look, I've said it before, I've said it again, back him or sack him. Don't just sit in the middle and do nothing for the next couple of weeks and weaken our position going into a really important summer, going into a really important season next year. Make the call, make it early, be strong, stick with it. That's what I think we've got to do as well. An interesting statement from United coming out. I'm going to have a quick read through United's club statement at this moment in time. Dark Row, what was that with Rajat as well? I don't know. I like seeing there was a different comment down there. Apologies for that. Anyways, Manchester United have made a statement regarding an en masse email sent to non-footballing staff regarding an invitation to resign from their roles. According to The Guardian, United have been offered the opportunity to receive an early payment of the rest of their year's salary if they want to resign by next Wednesday as part of a cost-cutting measurement. And they also want to streamline a lot of the departments at the club. I'm not too surprised about that. We've had these audits going on by the new ownership pretty much for the last 3 or 4 months. So I'm sure they'll want to streamline things a little bit. Anyways, guys, drop a like on today's video. I think we're up to 24. Can we get to 25 maybe? And if you guys can hit that sub button as well, would be really, really, really appreciated on tonight's stream. Anyways, I've got 43 votes in today's poll. Most of you guys think Ten Hag will be manager next season. I think that's an interesting take. Cedric has done there, deserves another year. Glory to Manchester United. There we go. Look, I'm not surprised. I think it's an interesting one. A lot of people have strong opinions either way on Erik Ten Hag. I don't think sacking the manager is instantly going to make things better. And really and truly, I think we can only react to what the club are thinking of doing and what they're looking to do. So yeah, look, I would agree with that statement. It's an interesting one because it's like whenever we read deeper into the situation, it's like we have a lot of sympathy for Erik Ten Hag. The players have been very injury prone this season. The squad has been all over the place. There's been a lot of times where Ten Hag has maybe made individual mistakes, and some of our results have been absolutely abysmal at times as well. No doubt about it. According to United Stand, any of those figures are now advocating for Ten Hag internally. At first they were uncertain, but after meeting with all the players and staff, they developed a more favourable view of Ten Hag. I don't know, to be honest. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I think the lack of a public backing at this moment in time is very interesting, and we haven't stuck the colours to the mast and said yes, Erik Ten Hag going to be the manager next season. We haven't done that as of yet, and that maybe is going to come in the next couple of days. Maybe it doesn't come. I think regardless of who the manager is, we've got a big summer ahead of us, guys. If it's Erik Ten Hag, if it's going to be Pochettino, if it's De Zerbi, Tuchel, whoever is going to be our head coach next season, this is a really big summer that we're coming into. We have to get recruitment right. We have to raise the physical flooring of our team, tighten up that defence, stop conceding so many goals, score more goals at the other end. That's what we've got to focus on. Matada's down there. No club plays that much suspense with his fan like ours. Yeah, it's true as well. Indecision kills. Like, it really does. And I hope that we're not going to be indecisive about this. We have to go really strongly either way. Back him or sack him. That's what I'd be saying to Manchester United if I was in on any of the meetings. If I had any kind of influence on the club, I would say just make a decision, stick with it, and don't change your mind on it. Absolutely do what you think is going to be the right thing for the club, because these people are a lot more qualified than me to say it. These people are a lot more qualified than myself to talk about this sort of stuff and to make these calls. So all I can advocate is just make that decision, and gotta make it early, gotta go early with it, have to make it at some point. But it's gonna be a very interesting ride. It's gonna be a very interesting summer. I'm looking forward to covering everything with you guys as well. Irfan says United's very slow. Glazers hide Qatar in. I think we're well past the Qatar in point as well. I don't think that's ever gonna happen, man. But we'll find out. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I would be very surprised. I would be very surprised. And hopefully we're not going to have an overly reactionary take to this, because we asked United fans a couple of weeks ago after 4-0 to Crystal Palace, will Ten Hag get sacked? A lot of people said yes. And all of a sudden, a lot of people are saying, no, he's going to be here next season. Bart's in there. Which journal do I really trust aside from Mordenstein? It's an ever-shrinking list, but I trust what I see from Muppeteers. I trust what I see from Ornstein. Laurie Whitwell, I think, is very good for United stuff. I would trust James Stucker as well. I think he's a very good source of information. Obviously, Romano is a very good source, but at the same time, he's definitely his own brand at this point, and a lot of the information you get out there is very much regurgitated, very much just churned out and reworded slightly just for more engagements and stuff. Yeah, that's always a concern. Tala says, please give Ten Hag one more year, get him some new players. I think we'll get some new players this summer. I think we're going to have a big transfer spend ideally in the next couple of weeks and months. It's got to be a big one. We need at least 2 centre backs. We need a defensive midfielder. We need a forward. We need a striker probably as well. A lot of work to do. Yarlow's down there. United send out a staff about annual salary for next year if they resign at the club. United trimming the fat and removing staff. Yeah, I think it's just to streamline things. I'm not surprised at all about that whatsoever. The key thing that's come out of the minute, guys, is that Ten Hag future remains uncertain. No imminent decision. I don't know how much longer we can have no imminent decision, to be honest, guys. I think we've got to go at some point and make the call. And I know some people say, we're jumping into it, that we're that we can't rush into these things. But I think at some point you got to make the calls as well. You've got to be strong and decisive with your decision making, and we can't be reactionary. We really can't be. Either way. If we, and I would say that extends on both sides. If we were going to keep Erik Ten Hag and we lost the FA Cup final, then that's a bad way to go, and I wouldn't want the club sacking him over that. But at the same time, I would say if we were going to sack him and now we're going to keep him over the FA Cup final, that's equally as concerning. I want us to keep Erik Ten Hag, not because it's an easy thing to do, not because it's what fans want to do, not because it's what the players think might be right, not because it's what we thought 2 years ago. I want us to keep Erik Ten Hag if he is the man to lead us forward, if he is the man to be the manager next season and beyond that there. Not just for one season, but for 2, 3 seasons. That's what I want to see. Long-term future for the head coach. If it is Ten Hag, then it's Ten Hag. Let's roll with it. Let's get behind him. Let's back him. If it's not going to be Ten Hag, then pull the trigger. You got to go get your next manager in, and then we've got to stick with him. That's what we got to do. That's really what we got to do. Let me see. Matata is down there more about intentions than ability. Jarl said, I've seen Jarl's comments. Sorry, DK Wilson, good to see you, buddy. Radcliffe and Ineos have run a tighter ship at Nice, but they stunk. Plus, they don't own the team. Bard is down there as well. One way to work around Nice ownership is that Sheikh Man sure to buy a club. Yeah, I don't know how they're getting around that, buddy, to be honest. Matata's down there. What's worse, sacking Poch or appointing Enzo, or sacking Ten Hag, or appointing Tuchel or De Zerbi? Probably sacking Pochettino for Enzo. That's a massive risk by Chelsea. A massive, massive risk. Big ups to DK Wilson, of course. Bart says as well, if United were really to cut costs, they would need a mini fire sale. As asking non-player staff is like extinguishing a fire with a glass of water. Player salaries take up to 70%. Very true. But there will be a reduction anyway. There will be a 1-year reduction at the very least. 25% drop in salaries for missing out on Champions League. So that will drop the salaries for next season. Hopefully it'll give us some more money to wriggle around with. But I think we got a really good chance to win Europa League next year as well, guys. I do. I think looking at that competition, it's not a deep pool of teams. It's not a high quality pool of teams, and ultimately, we don't have to worry about teams dropping out of the Champions League. Guys, drop a like on the video as well. We're on 29. Let's see if I can get up to 30 likes. Nice round number as well. And make sure to hit the sub button. We're almost at 2,200 subs as well on the channel. Really appreciate all the support at the moment. But I'll just have a quick look at this because I seen it on my phone earlier, guys. It's basically the Europa League teams. So your pot 1 teams, these are the heavy favourites for the competition. Roma, Porto, Ajax, Rangers, Eintracht Frankfurt, Lazio, Tottenham, Slavia Praha. I mean, there's nobody there we shouldn't be able to beat. Absolutely nobody we shouldn't be able to beat. And I think Europa League could be a good way in the Champions League next year for United. I really do. So it'll be an interesting one to see how we deal with that there, and how we approach Europa League next season. Because I don't think any of us seriously expect United to win a Premier League or to finish really, really high in the Premier League and go on a title challenge. I don't think any of us believe that, because I think we are all pretty realistic to the situation, and regardless of our thoughts. And guys, I don't know if I froze. Have I? I don't know what's happened there. Apologies for that there, guys. It looks like a little bit of lag on my end, so that's my bad. We're back now. But yeah, look, I think really and truly, it's going to be a position of either back Erik Ten Hag or sack him. If you're going to sack Erik Ten Hag, you have to do it within the next week. That's that is the very latest, because we are on the 28th of May. We are on the 20th of May. The European Championship starts on the 14th of June. United's first pre-season match, I think, is the 8th of July. Let me just quickly pull that up. And you would want your manager to have been in. You'll have wanted your coach to have been in by that point. Let me quickly pull up the dates here as well. We go to San Diego, I think. I think that's where the first preseason match is going to be. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's the 9th of July, it looks like. So 9th of July is our first preseason match. That's only 5 weeks away. If even that. That's only about 5 weeks away. So, we're at that point now where we got to be making a call, where we have to be doing this quickly, because 5 weeks to pre-season. And you'll have wanted to have been out there already and had some work in the training before you play your first matches. So let's say you got 4.5, 5 weeks. You basically have about a month or so to before your pre-season starts. You have to get players in. You have to go out there and get your manager in. A manager is completely different than a player, because whilst you want your players to be there for pre-season, if a player's there for the last 3 matches of preseason, that's probably okay. But if your manager's only coming in at that point, what hope do you have? You know, such little time to work on your system, on your tactics, and what you want to get across. It makes the job a lot harder. So we've got to get this done quickly. Need to be going as fast as possible on it for me. I've got 64 votes on tonight's poll as well, guys. 62% say yes, you would have Erik Ten Hag here next season. 28% say they're unsure, and 9% are saying no, they think he will be sacked as well. Big favourite for Erik Ten Hag to be kept on at this moment in time, going by the reports from you guys. So very interesting, that one. I think is far less nailed on at the moment from my own understanding of it and looking into it and what I can put together. But it is what it is, I guess. Let me see. Was there something else I wanted to go for? I think so. Actually, yeah, I was saying that about United trimming down the staff, the non-playing staff, saying that there. DK Wilson said the guys don't get much downtime to recover. They have to fly all the way to California. Another Glazer money grab. Didn't they learn that's how players' health gets compromised? I don't think it helped us last season, man. I really don't. So I think, yeah, it's not a good thing. You know, ideally, you know, you play your preseason maybe mostly in Europe. I don't think that's too much of an ask. Bart is down there. United need to plan their preseason better than last year. We travelled over 100,000 kilometres last year, shattering the players. Yeah, we do, absolutely. You know, we don't want to be playing 2 matches in 2 days 3 times in the tour and having to play half an academy team and some of our reserve players in some of the matches. That's not what we want. Araya says, I think they will be silly to sack him. Dark Crow says, maybe the falling out between Ten Hag and the players, with Casemiro being the latest one, is the reason Ineos are fed up. I mean, maybe, but some reports are also saying the players are very keen on Ten Hag staying. So it's very hard to know what's really going to happen, or you know, what's really going on. I think all we can do really as fans is just to sit back, be patient, and hopefully this will be sorted very soon, because I don't think anybody's enjoying all these stories going about. I think we want to know what's going to happen, and I think we want to know as soon as possible. We want decisions to be made, because you know that's why these guys are here. That's why we've brought in some of these top footballing directors and CEOs to make these decisions, not to sit back on their laurels and twiddle their thumbs and second guess themselves. You know, we want strong leadership and we want decisive leadership. We don't want to be sitting here in 2 weeks' time asking, is Ten Hag going to get sacked or not? You know, I would have liked the decision to have already been made, but unfortunately it does look like we're still reviewing at this moment in time the season in a whole. I don't know how it's going to go, to be honest with you, but I mean, we'll find out in the next couple of days, I'm sure, as more stories come out, as this story develops, as these issues become more and more clear as to what's going to happen. Bart says, Martial leaves the club. What are his top 3 moments in the shirt? Is he a hero or did he flutter to receive? It's interesting because Martial's, you know, the outcome we got with Martial and, you know, what ultimately happened with his career based upon the talent he was when we first signed him is probably in some of the worst outcomes that actually could have happened. You know, if you had to do it 100 times, this might be like a bottom 10 outcome for him in terms of his overall career. You know, he was voted the best young player in Europe whenever he first signed for the club. And you know, yeah, I mean, he's had some really good moments. The debut goal against Liverpool always stands out. The NHS lockdown season stands out. 23 goals that year. But, you know, ultimately, I don't think he flattered to deceive. And it was unfortunate. A lot of it was down to injuries as well. His body just broke down as well. DK says pro athletes in the US get about 12 weeks to recover. Yeah, they do. You know, footballers get 4 or 5 weeks. That's most, and that's if there isn't an international tournament. You know, that's really poor. Irfan said Rashford to City or PSG. Sorry, Arsenal or PSG. What's the news? I don't think he's going anywhere this season. I think Rashford's going to be kept this year, and if he is going to leave, it'll probably be next season, because I don't think any clubs are going in with really big offers for him off the back of last season. So we'll find out on that there when I'm sure in the next maybe 12 months or so. I think that's maybe when decisions could be made or would be made on it. But I don't think there's going to be too many clubs clamoring over themselves to get him based upon that season's performances, at the money he would want, at the money United would want. So I don't think he's going anywhere, Marcus Rashford, at least for another year. We'll find out what happens maybe in 12 months' time, but that'll be what it is. Guys, thanks so much for 31 likes on the stream, 32 now as well. Don't forget, hit that sub button if you haven't already, guys. I'm going to drop up the stream here, but thanks so much for joining in. I should be live either tomorrow or Thursday night as well, so make sure to tune in for that there one. Hopefully, we'll have some more interesting news to bring you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it, guys, and I'll catch everyone in the next one.